Cold doesn't kill you all at once. It steals your energy, your focus, your will. And during World War II, soldiers learned this the hard way. Out there, freezing nights were just as dangerous as enemy fire. So they hacked sleep. Not with tech, not with luxury, but with a brutally simple trick modern campers keep ignoring. And once you hear it, you'll never look at your sleeping bag the same way again. This is ancient tactics, and today we're pulling a survival lesson straight out of World War II that still beats most high-end camping gear sold today. Why World War II soldiers took sleep seriously. World War II wasn't fought in comfortable climates. Soldiers slept in mud, snow, forests, deserts, and half-destroyed buildings. Many didn't have the option to move or light a fire. Cold injuries became a real threat. Frostbite, trench foot, hypothermia. Entire units taken out without a single shot fired. Military planners learned fast that warmth at night meant effectiveness during the day. A soldier who slept cold moved slower, thought worse, and broke sooner. So armies stopped treating sleep like downtime and started treating it like a tactical resource. That's where the sleeping bag trick was born. The big lie modern campers believe: most people think sleeping bags keep you warm. They don't. They just slow heat loss, that's it. The warmth, well, that comes from you. World War II soldiers understood this deeply, because when you're exhausted and underfed, your body doesn't produce much heat at all. Modern campers often crawl into a sleeping bag wearing thick socks, heavy jackets, even damp layers from the day. It feels logical, right? More layers equals more warmth. But soldiers in World War II learned that piling on insulation inside a sleeping bag could actually make you colder. The trick wasn't adding more. It was really managing heat flow. The sleeping bag trick soldiers used, here it is: simple, ruthless, effective. World War II soldiers slept with fewer layers inside the bag and used controlled insulation outside the body instead. They removed damp clothing, even when it felt uncomfortable, especially then. Moisture was the enemy. Sweat trapped in fabric would steal heat faster than cold air ever could. Soldiers dried their base layer if possible, then slept in minimal clothing to let body heat radiate evenly into the bag. The real genius was how they sealed that heat. They wrapped the sleeping bag itself, not the body. Extra blankets, ground cloths, ponchos, even spare uniforms were placed over and under the sleeping bag, not worn inside it. This created a thermal shell. The body warmed the air inside the bag. The outer layers stopped that warmth from escaping. It's primitive physics, really, and, well, it works. Why does this beat modern sleeping bag ratings? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Temperature ratings on modern sleeping bags, they assume ideal conditions: dry clothes, proper ground insulation, a well-fed body. But, you know, World War II soldiers had none of that, so they didn't trust numbers. They trusted systems. They knew the ground was the biggest heat thief. Cold earth, it pulls warmth out of you relentlessly. So they insulated underneath first. Cardboard, branches, packs, anything at all to create airspace between body and ground. Then they treated the sleeping bag like a core layer, not the final solution. That mindset is what modern campers often miss. A $1,000 bag means nothing if your heat is leaking into frozen soil. The moisture rule that saved lives. One of the hardest lessons from World War II was moisture management. Soldiers were taught that sleeping slightly cool but dry was better than sleeping warm and wet. They vented bags intentionally, opened them slightly to prevent sweat build-up. If they overheated, they didn't tough it out. They adjusted, because once moisture set in, the night was lost. Modern campers often seal themselves into bags like burritos and, well, wonder why they wake up freezing at 3 a.m. It's not the cold, it's the damp. World War II sleeping doctrine treated sweat as a tactical failure. This wasn't just about temperature. Warm, dry sleep kept morale alive. Soldiers who slept well made better decisions. They stayed calm under pressure. They endured longer. Commanders noticed. Units that managed sleep properly performed better across the board. That's why these techniques were drilled, repeated, and enforced. Sleep wasn't comfort. It was combat readiness. That lesson applies today just as hard. So, how can modern campers use this right now? Well, you don't need vintage gear. What you really need is the mindset. Start by insulating the ground aggressively. Honestly, your pad matters more than your bag. Then you want to strip down inside the bag. Only dry base layers, that's key. No damp socks, and definitely no wet shirt from the hike. Next, wrap the system. Use jackets, emergency blankets or spare clothing on top of the bag, not inside it. Trap the heat you generate instead of smothering it at the source. And finally, manage moisture like your night depends on it, because it does. This is the World War II sleeping bag trick. Simple, old, ignored, deadly effective. Why do ancient tactics still win, you might wonder? Well, these days, modern outdoor culture is just obsessed with innovation. There are always new fabrics, new ratings, and, new promises. But World War II, it really proved that survival isn't about fancy gadgets. It's about truly understanding how the human body works, especially when it's under stress. Ancient tactics, they endure because, honestly, they were forged under pressure. There was no marketing, no buzzwords, no second chances either. And, well, that's exactly why we study them here. If this, changed the way you think about sleep, warmth, or even survival, do the smart thing. Go ahead and subscribe to Ancient Tactics. And hey, share this with someone who camps, hikes, or just loves learning about how the old world still manages to beat the new one. Stay sharp, stay warm, and, well, we'll see you in the next one.